Our completion, Oil on Wood, Tina Rodriguez, 1999. Before nourishment, there must be obedience. In his hands, I was a cup overflowing with thirst. Eighth ruler of my days, ninth lord of my nights, he thrashed above me like branches. Once, after weeks of rain, he sliced a potato in half to remind me of the moon. The dark slept in the small of his back, the back of his knees, pale music. We'd crumble the Eucharist and feed it to the pigeons. Si vergüenza, escuincle, he who makes things sprout. In the margins, in a book of poems by Emily Dickinson, he scribbled, she had a pocket full of horses, Trojan, and some of them used. Often, I mistook him for a storyteller when he stood in the rain. A su izquierda, huesos. A su derecha, mapas de cuero. When I'd yawn, he'd pluck black petals out of my mouth. Next poem is titled Watermark, and this poem steals two phrases from the Gwendolyn Brooks poem, A Boy Breaking Glass. And this poem, I repeat the word socorro again and again. And in Spanish, when you call that word out urgently, it becomes a call for help. And also, socorro is my mother's name. So, you see what I did there? I have a master's. Yeah, it's been recorded, Eduardo. It's been recorded, Eduardo. I can remind myself that. Watermark. In the dark, only the devil can cast a shadow. Too poor to afford lilies, she walked down the aisle holding a glass of milk. Her left breast is nicknamed Juan, the right, Diego. Nightly she catches moths with newspaper cones. Hammock skipper, Southern Emerald, lungs black with cancer. Her father was buried 2 months before the wedding. Her name a tassel in my mouth. Socorro, socorro. Rain pierced her womb when she was 6 months pregnant. Rain singed the face of her child, the burn marks turning into beauty marks. Beautiful flaw, terrible ornament. I keep a spur under my pillow to ward off nightmares. Too poor to afford lace, she walked down the aisle on a cold afternoon, her breath a veil. She arranges moth wings on a table, reads the wings like tarot cards. 9 of swords, knight of coins. Her mouth waters when she hears a bolero. Her father was buried in pleated pants. Day after day, she folds and folds paper. Alas, farros. She gave me a pack of cigarettes on my 13th birthday. Often, I put on the gold ring she leaves by the sink. Not cathedrals, but presents. The first man she saw naked was the rain. The dark of her knees, a watermark. Socorro, socorro. If I dream I'm cupping her face with my hands, I wake up holding the skull of a wolf. Acquired immune deficiency syndrome. At a quarter to midnight, blue beetles crawling along the minute hand of the wall clock, I awaken, panicked, next to my lover, a caramel-hued cello asleep on embroidered linen. A light bulb blazes, burns out, a doe's flash a white tail that instructs the fawn to follow its mother in flight. I hurry down a hallway, through a door, into a pasture where mules are grazing. Moonlight floats in the air like coarse cloth, silver-speckled and woven on the looms of mirrors. Once I tore into the torso of my cello and discovered its heart, a pair of horseshoes caked with red clay. The mules surround me, necks bent, nostrils pluming out different lengths of breath. I toss off my robe. A mule curls its tongue around my erection. I throw my head back and stare at the slowest lightning, the stars. I'm going to end with the poem that's reprinted in the anthology, and send my gratitude once again to the editors of Poetry Magazine for publishing this poem in the first time. I do code switching in my work. I shuttle back from English and Spanish. The Spanish is never italicized, put in context. There's no glossary. If language is one way of viewing the world, I refuse to privilege one way of viewing over another. The title also functions as a first line. In Colorado, my father scoured and stacked dishes in a Tex-Mex restaurant. His coworkers, unable to utter his name, renamed him Jalapeno. If I asked for a goldfish, he spits a glob of phlegm into a jar of water. The silver letters on his black belt spell sangron. Once, borracho, at dinner, he said, Jesus was not a snowman. Arriba Durango, arriba Orizaba. Packed into a car trunk, he was smuggled into the States, frijolero, greaser. In Tucson, he branded cattle. He slept in a stable, the horse blankets oddly fragrant, wood smoke, lilac. He's an illegal. I'm an illegal American. Once, in a grove of saguaro at dusk, I slept next to him. I woke with his thumb in my mouth. No que no tornabas pistolita. He learned English by listening to the radio. The first four words he memorized, in God we trust. The fifth, percolate. Again and again I borrow his clothes. He calls me Scarecrow. In Oregon he picked apples, Brea Burn, Jonah Gold, Cameo. Nightly, to entertain his cuates, around a campfire, he strummed the guitarra, sang corridos, arriba Durango, arriba Orizaba. Packed into a car trunk, he was smuggled into the States. Greaser, beaner. Once, borracho, at breakfast, he said, the heart can only be broken once, like a window. No mames. His favorite belt buckle, an águila perched on a nopal. If he laughs out loud, his hands tremble. Bugs Bunny wants to deport him. Cesar Chavez wants to deport him. When I walk through the desert, I wear his shirt. The gaze of the moon stitches the buttons of his shirt to my skin. The snake hisses. The snake is torn. Thank you.